We've got stuff to talk about. It just happens to be about Nintendo, but I'm not a Nintendo YouTuber. First time on the channel, hit that subscribe button. But let's talk about a couple of things that are happening within the realm of the Nintendo brand and the Nintendo Switch 2, because I do not mind being the bearer of bad news. Sometimes I kind of enjoy it a bit. The first thing we're going to talk about is this alleged Nintendo Switch 2 emulator. You might have seen some videos popping up online about it. I know Stupid Spawnwave made a video talking about this yesterday, but allegedly there is a Nintendo Switch 2 emulator called Axiom that is being worked on right now, and we have a video of it in action, and I kind of question people's logical reasoning skills as far as like being able to verify stuff and, believe stuff. You have to remember, allegedly, as of right now, we don't even have an SDK dump of the Nintendo Switch 2, but this individual somehow, some way is working on an emulator. They made a little video here that we're going to watch together. So they click Mario Kart World on the Axiom emulator, and okay, it's a very low frame per second version of Mario Kart World. Now you could see that this is the game per se. We'll get into that in just a second, but this is the standard intro scene for Mario Kart World that may look a little bit familiar to you, and we'll get into that in just a second. But this is what we were introduced to with Mario Kart World, and then of course we have the kart coming into the shot here, running at a very low frame rate, which you would kind of expect if this was actually, a new emulator or something like that. Obviously, emulators that are just coming out are not going to be hitting peak performances for brand new systems. But like I said, how is this emulator even existing within the realm if we don't have any sort of SDK dumps in order to dump the system? How are we running games on the system without actually having the system dumped so that people can start to work on it? So you look at this and you think to yourself, well, this looks a bit familiar, this looks a bit recognizable. And then we get to this part here. Boy, oh boy, I dug deeper and it seems like a complete scam to gain followers or something worse. Copied from Nintendo's YouTube. The repo is empty. Don't click anything this guy posts. So you can see here that they have been active on Discord. We have the Treehouse presentation of the Mario Kart World Grand Prix gameplay. And then, oh look, it just happens to sync up with this individual and their Twitter account here. I'm still working on performance and audio. Once again, a Treehouse presentation. Mario flying in with a feather. And look, he's flying in with a feather on this. And we don't even have a frame per second counter on this. So what is essentially happening with this? It goes a little bit deeper down a rabbit hole here, as we will highlight whenever this decides to pop up here. So basically there is a thread over on Reddit talking about this. Just a quick warning that this is obviously fake. There is no public information. We have Discord information where this person, Axiom, has been talking about this. And basically there's all sorts of weird stuff. There's a Donkey Kong Bonanza NSP file. There's not even a dumper for Switch 2 games when it comes to that. It's Russian, it's easy to do. He's partnering with Axiom, and then Axiom's talking in various Discord forums. Essentially, it's either a way to get people's information, potentially download something, and then it is a virus of some sort. But what the fact of the matter is, this emulator is not real. It's way too soon for something like this to happen. Like I said, there is no system dump for the system that would be able to replicate the emulator for what it would make to make it for the Nintendo Switch 2. Another thing to keep in mind is allegedly this is an Android emulator. If you go on like Android or something like that and you go to like a Play Store or something to download games, how many carbon copies there are of popular games in order to trick people to make a few dollars or sign them up for a mailing list or something like that. If you're not hearing like myself, Mr. Sujano, MVG talk about actual Nintendo Switch 2 emulation and an actual Nintendo Switch 2 emulator, don't be fooled by things like this. Some YouTubers I saw online were even like a bit fooled by this, and they were like, oh, well, this could be potentially real. And it's like, no, No, why would you say that? Like, get this isn't your wheel well. You don't understand how this stuff works. You probably shouldn't be talking about this and potentially misleading and misinforming your audience when anyone who knows anything about emulation, not to say that, I'm deep in the emulation streets, although I mean, I am the king of emulation and I am an emulation YouTuber. Like, it's obvious that this is a fraud and a fake thing. So be very careful. Do not check out the Axiom emulator. Even if you were fooled by it a little bit, it's obviously something that is fake, and I highly suggest you guys stay away from that. I don't want you guys downloading things you don't need to be downloading. The second topic I have for you guys is another thing that I might have to be the bearer of bad news on, because we've been hearing about a potential July Nintendo Direct. Now, Wood Beat 'em Ups made a video on the Nintendo podcast talking about this. I've talked to him in private about it. He wouldn't reveal his sources or anything like that. He wouldn't really give me any sort of thing to go on as far as how he found out about it. Maybe he knows about it. Maybe, somebody misinformed him. I'm not 100% sure. He does seem somewhat confident in it, though. But now people are expecting there to be some sort of July Nintendo Direct. And I mean, it does kind of make sense. After Donkey Kong Bonanza, we don't have any first-party games dated beyond Drag X Drive, which I don't think anyone's going to be buying and playing that game, but I could be wrong. It could end up being a 10 million seller, and Nintendo obviously has to, fill out the holiday season, and third-party companies are obviously going to be wanting to talk about games they are bringing over to the Nintendo Switch too. But now people think the Nintendo Direct is going to be this week. Was there some big insider leak to kind of lead into this? Well, here it is. Nash Weedle over on Twitter said, so this week. And yeah, because he said, so this week, that means Nintendo Direct. And, there's going to be a Nintendo Direct. Now, I do find it interesting that my friend here, Nate the Hate, did say it's Sunday. I haven't heard a direct for this coming week at this time. Maybe I'll hear different once the week starts. Did anyone ask if that is even what the tweet is implying? Because if you actually look into this tweet beforehand, when talking about so this week, they did talk about like being on a podcast. And, kind of interesting. So here is them talking about being on a podcast, and it's going to be going up this week on Attack the Backlog. So this week, but that is enough for people. That is enough confirmation for people to jump out the window and say, hey, there is a Nintendo Direct coming potentially this week. Now, Spawnwave is going to the beach this week, and he fears that a Nintendo Direct will be happening this week based on that assumption. He is going to the beach this upcoming week, I believe from Tuesday to Thursday. He feels like it's going to be Wednesday, strictly because of the fact that he's going to the beach. We joked about this on the Spawncast. As far as any additional intel is concerned, I believe it to be simply just a joke. Now, John does find out some things from time to time, so I will give him a little credit. But so this week means nothing to me. It doesn't mean anything to me. And it's just like, once again, it's kind of throwing darts at a dartboard. Could there be a Nintendo Direct this week? Like, maybe. Obviously, next week, Donkey Kong Bonanza comes out. I believe the week after that, we have a Pokemon Presents presentation. So you would think that if they are going to do a July Nintendo Direct, it would probably take place this week. But I don't think that's any sort of confirmation. I don't think so this week is any sort of confirmation of this. But people are so, I guess desperate for news and desperate for things to talk about, both on social media and on YouTube, that this is confirmation enough. This is golden goose information. We have it here. So this week, something is going to happen. Now, I'm not saying Nash Weedle is wrong all the time. I'm not saying Nash Weedle is right all the time. Their track record is a bit spotty at best. But do I think this is confirmation of a Nintendo Direct this week? No. Do I think a Direct could happen this week? Sure. A Nintendo Direct can theoretically happen at any single point in time. But to constantly try and chase this dragon of a Nintendo Direct, it's like, Bro, play some video games, man. Like, there's a bunch of, you got Tony Hawk dropping this week, Tony Hawk 3 and 4 on the Switch too. I'm very curious to see how that version of the game runs. I already have it preloaded on my system. I got the early edition so that I can have early access to the game. I spent money to give you guys early information to see if this is a port worth picking up. Donkey Kong Bonanza's coming out. You got Shadow Labyrinth, WWE. You know, there's a bunch of games coming out. Everyone just kind of calm down a little bit. We have this Nintendo Direct disease. The system just came out a month ago. Like, play the games that exist. I don't understand people. I don't know. I think a lot of these people don't play games, dog. I think a lot of these people don't play games, and they're just chasing the highs of news. But let me know what you think about all this in the comments section down below. Do you think there's a Direct this week? There could be. There could not be. Do you think the Nintendo Switch 2 emulator is real? You shouldn't. Unless you just want, like, your bank account drained and your information stolen or something like that. Because essentially that's what's going to happen if you pursue this in any sort of way. And as always, guys, thank you for checking out this video. If you are new to the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Be sure to like, comment, and share. Hit the bell notification as well so you're not missing out on any uploads. And as always, I'll catch you guys on the next video. Later.